Everybody, great to see so many of you joining us here this morning to listen to our little presentation all about the different sports that we offer here at Abbey College Manchester and the academic programs, as Tori says. Okie dokie, so Abbey College Manchester. We're a small college and we are right in the centre of Manchester. We've currently got about just over 200 students on roll, and those students come from 40 different nationalities, which is a fantastic mix. Roughly 30% of our students are domestic students from here in the UK, and the other 70% come from 39 different countries. Everybody lives together, everybody learns together. There's no kind of separation. All international students, domestic students, they're all in the same classes. We have boarding here in the city centre as well, and it's in Clydesdale House, which is about a 10-minute walk from college, and that's for students who are aged 16 and over, and those who are aged under 16, and they live with our host families, and the host families are all over Greater Manchester. And because we're so little, we can offer really innovative, creative courses, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of those courses today. So because we're little, we can be really supportive. The maximum class size you would ever find yourself in here at Abbey is 12, which is absolutely amazing because it means you've got lots of time with your teacher, far more time than you kind of have in a big class. The average class size is probably somewhere around 8. It depends on what subject. And again, having so much teacher time really means that you can make great progress. We are mainly sixth form, so there is a little bit more independence. You do have to be a little bit more independent. You do have to kind of take responsibility for yourselves. And again, tying academic study in with sport, we find that the students who do the sports courses, they do become really independent. They do become really good learners because they have to have that discipline when they're playing football or basketball or doing cycling or tennis. And we're a very informal setting, so everybody's on first name terms. So I'm principal, but everybody calls me Chris. So you call your teachers by their first names, which again, a little bit more independent. It's that kind of growing up. It's moving from school to university. We've got no bells, we've got no uniform. We're very relaxed, which doesn't mean we're not kind of focused and not purposeful. And the expectations are really high. But again, it's just in a very different setting. With the small classes, we can do that. So in terms of kind of being focused, here are the results from last summer. We're really pleased with these results. The top line there is the A-level results. The middle line is the IFP, and we'll talk a little bit more about the IFP a little bit later. And the bottom line there is GCSE and IGCSEs. So we're really proud of how well our students did last summer, and we're hoping for similar results this summer. Then obviously most of the students who join us kind of for A-level or for the IFP, they're here and their goal is to get to university. And we have students going to universities all over the world. The vast majority want to stay in the UK, but we do have students every year who go to the USA, who go to Spain, who go to Canada, the Netherlands. We have students doing a whole range of courses at university. Medicine is always a really popular one, engineering, law, as you can see there. So last year, 32% of IFP students, along with 32% of A-level students, all got to Russell Group universities, which was fantastic. We got one student to Oxford, which we were really pleased with, and the range of universities was excellent. We offer kind of bespoke university preparation for our students and with our students, and again, we offer you lots of support throughout the whole application process to university because we understand how difficult it is. So two of my assistant principals, Nigel and Mark, they are experts on helping students kind of through the process, and so they do that every year. So as I said, we are a building right here in the slap bang middle of Manchester. We've got the one building, we're on 7 floors. The basement is our learning centre. Then the ground floor where I am now, it's all the offices. And then classrooms are over the 5 floors above me. We had a common room on the 1st floor, and you can see some little photos there of the building. So why choose Abbey College Manchester? Well, Manchester is a fantastic city. It's a really friendly city. It's a really cosmopolitan city. It's an international city. There are 3 or 4 very big universities here in Manchester. And here at Abbey, we have absolute specialist teachers. Most of our teachers have been here for a number of years, for quite a long time, and they are experts in their subjects. They're experts at A-level or IFP teaching, and they know exactly how to guide the students to get the best possible outcomes. They can get, like I say, very small classes, flexible programs. You know, the thing about having only 12 or maximum 12 in a class means there's lots of extra support available. Means, you know, we use Microsoft Teams in a lot of our lessons. All homework is done through Microsoft Teams. And Teams means that if you're doing your homework down at the Learning Centre or back in Clydesdale House or wherever it may be, and you're stuck on something, you can send an instant message to your teacher through Teams. They may not see it straight away, but as soon as they do, they'll be able to respond to you. Quite often students will, when they've got a study period, instead of going to the Learning Centre, they'll sit at the back of the classroom and just focus on kind of doing the work. And again, if they've got any questions, they can ask the teacher then and there. So in boarding then, as I say, boarding is about a 10-minute walk away from here. We've got a dedicated team of house parents who live there and who look after everybody's health and safety. They're a really good support. And everything I've said so far is kind of based on the academics, and all of the academics obviously can be tied in with any of the sports programs. So basketball and football have been running for a number of years now, and new for September 2023, we're really excited to be launching the cycling and the tennis program. And as I say, any of the sports academies, any of the sports courses can be done with any of the academic programs. So you could do GCSEs with football, you could do A-level with basketball, you could do IFP with cycling. Now some courses don't lend themselves well to doing 5 afternoons training a week. So for example, if you want to do A-level, let's say chemistry, physics, biology, and 5 afternoons football, we would advise strongly against that, because A-levels are difficult. A-levels are a 2-year taught course for a reason. And doing 5 afternoons training would mean you'd be missing quite a lot of lessons, and you would ultimately probably find yourself a little bit behind. And the speed that the course goes at, we don't advise students doing a 5-day program along with A-levels. So as I say there, the sports training takes place in the afternoons. So for any student who is on one of the sports courses, they would have their academic lessons here in the morning, in this building in the morning, and in the afternoon go off and do one of the sports. So basketball is based at Bellevue, which is where the Manchester Giants play, and that's about 3 or 4 miles from where we are now. The football academy is based at a place called 10 Acres, which again is about 3 or 4 miles away. And then the cycling is based at the Manchester Velodrome, and the tennis is based at the tennis centre. And the Velodrome, the tennis centre, and the football academy are all very close to each other. So the basketball program then, if we look at the individual sports, basketball launched in January 2021. And as I said, it is in conjunction with the Manchester Giants. And the Manchester Giants, as I'm sure you know, are the professional basketball team here in Manchester. They play in the BBL. And I think next week or this week, they are in the playoffs, which is really exciting. And lots of our students are going down to watch their playoff match. So the way the coaching works, as I said, it is based at Bellevue, which is where the Giants are based, which is where it's the National Basketball Performance Centre. We organise transport to and from Bellevue for the students, so they don't have to kind of catch a bus or get an Uber. We organise transport down for them, and the coaches who coach on the basketball programme, they are professional coaches. Sometimes the players get involved in coaching. And that's really exciting when we then take the students to go and watch a match, because they say, oh yeah, he was coaching me last week, and it's really exciting, and it kind of brings an extra level of reality to the program, where the students can say, yeah, that was the guy who coached me last week. He showed me how to do certain moves. And again, it's because it's run by the professionals, the students are getting real analysis, real professional input into improving, into how to make it to the next stage. Some of the students, it's the same for all the sports. Some of the students who are on the courses, they're doing the sports because they enjoy doing the sports, and which is great. Some of them are doing those sports because they want to be a professional in those sports, which is absolutely fine. And the support and training they get from all of the coaches is absolutely first rate. I seem to, oh, there we go. So Yetu was our first ever basketball player. He joined us in January 2021. And so that's what he said about it. And he's now, as it says there, at the University of Southampton, studying electrical and electronics engineering. And then Ilya is still with us. Ilya is from Iran. He's doing the IFP. And there we go. So a nice little quote from Yetu and Ilya, two of our former and current basketball students. International House Football Academy. Right, I'm going to stop talking for a little while, and I'm going to let Pete from International House talk about the Football Academy. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you very much, Chris. So yes, we are 5 years into a partnership, and the great thing about working with Abbey College is that here at IHM Football Academy, we share exactly the same ethos. So it's a wonderful opportunity for young people who are passionate about football, want to know how far can they go in the game, but don't want to compromise their education. All of our student players are focused on a pathway to higher education, but at the same time are able to explore their potential in football. And that's really what we base the whole course on: communication, good communication and feedback from our coaches to the players, giving them up-to-minute evaluation. Also, a football course wouldn't be any value at all if we didn't get the opportunity to play in matches, and that's certainly what happens. So we operate two separate squads within our squad of football players at Abbey. We have an elite squad and then a development squad, and that's based on the level of play, and both of those squads enjoy competitive match football every week. And our coaches have a lot of experience in the football industry, as well as being qualified coaches. For example, Sam has come through the professional academy system, and he's very au fait with that. So he's a great role model, having then gone on to study at university and take all his coaching badges and get experience as a coach. So what we do offer is opportunities for young players with exceptional potential to be identified by scouts. It's a particularly difficult thing to get a professional football contract, and that's absolutely important to understand. But where there are exceptional players, we can provide direction for them, and that's via the International Professional Scouting Organization. And we organize once every academic term a scout assessment day where the IPSO scouts come in and provide reports and feedback to all our players. And of course, having the right kit is expected. But yeah, it is a player-centered approach. That's absolutely what it is. And we do look after the well-being of every player. It's not just about football achievement. So Yes, Chris mentioned 10 Acres Lane. That's a 4G AstroTurf venue, meaning it's not natural grass. However, when we're playing in matches and occasionally we will train on grass. But look, the facilities are wonderful. And as I said, the coaches take this individual view of each player. Each player will have their own individual plan, their own training plan. And that's not just based on football, but their general fitness, going into the gym on personal fitness programs. They're tested, we give data. So when we're talking to players, we're having conversations with players, honest conversations with the young players to give them an accurate view of what their potential is. And that's really managing their expectations and keeping them on track, like I say, with this holistic view of what is happening in the classroom as well. But wonderful to have guests coming in. Chris talked about this in the basketball. It's great to see a professional like Darren Fletcher from Manchester United. He had an epic career with that club. He's now a technical director. So to have Darren come in and coach the players over a period of time was a wonderful opportunity. And I think what we're doing is we're highlighting careers in sport and in the football industry in general, as well as just professional careers. But yes, we do get out there. We're playing in those leagues that I told you about, other clubs and academies. So thanks, Chris. Now, I talked about professional play. The UK is a restrictive regime. I think most of us are aware of that when it comes to student visa applications. It's very similar, and probably more so when it comes to professional football playing opportunities. So with that in mind, what we have done is to build links with clubs in countries where the visa regime is much more welcoming for non-nationals. And the way we do that is via our player panel. So if a young player is meeting all the criteria, then our coaches can introduce them to one of the clubs in one of the countries I mentioned. So Spain and Portugal, Germany, Belgium are all very welcoming regimes for non-nationals. And of course, we're linking our football into the academic pathway, and our coaches can provide that guidance, that career-related vocational guidance. Yes, exciting pathway that we've discovered over the last few years is this US scholarship program. If you imagine a young player having the opportunity to play in wonderful facilities, to be playing in front of a crowds of up to 15, 20,000 people in the US University College League system, it's a marvelous thing. And if a player is performing academically and is a talented footballer, then the routes there are amazing. And I was speaking to the mother of one of our ex-students only last night about how he's now progressed to Division II of the Grand American Conference on the back of that. So a wonderful opportunity. Okay, Chris, thank you. So Chris spoke previously about the rigor of A-levels and how the course demands a lot from a young player. And that's why we do have two pathways at the Football Academy to reflect this and to reflect the dedication of an individual player. So yes, the gold course, they are training 5 days a week. And of course, that would not be possible for some of the more demanding A-level courses. However, the silver course, where the students are playing a little bit less, they're training a little bit less, leaves a bit more room for academic work to ensure that that's fulfilled adequately. Thanks, Chris. So as I've said, the thread running through all of this is that we share the same expectations of our student players as the academic team. And this is reflected in the way that our players do achieve academically. There once was a time when young players sacrifice their education and potential there for their football ambition. That's not the case anymore, and certainly is not the case here. And I think you can see that, as well as the academic progressions that we're getting from the Football Academy, that you can see a lot of success coming through in football clubs that are identifying our players. It's always good to see how our players are going along. And when you look at the individual success that Rashik enjoyed, I think he epitomizes what our players get from combining their academic course with the Football Academy. And I think that when we speak to our players, they enjoy the balance that it gives them, that the absolute dedication to their studies, when you balance that out with playing on the pitch, getting out on the pitch with their colleagues there, it really does work in synergy. And I think Rashik was a perfect example of this. And again, with Mukhtar, he took the IFP route, so that was great for him. And taking the IFP route certainly does not stymie anybody's academic ambition. And you can see that Mukhtar went on to the University of Nottingham and did civil engineering. So there's that. I think the fact that the football helps academic achievement is something that we're trying to say here. Chris, I think over to you for the new sports.
Yeah, I'm just trying to start my video again. Thanks, Pete. Really informative there. So, as I said before, we're introducing tennis with the Cycling Academy and cycling with the Cycling Academy and tennis. So Steph, who runs the cycling, unfortunately can't be with us this morning, but he has sent us a little video all about the cycling course and what it will entail. So I will pop Steph's video on right now so we can listen to what he has to say about the cycling.
Morning everyone, my name's Steph from Manchester Cycling Academy. I'd like to welcome you all this morning. Sorry I can't be with you. Just going to spend a couple of minutes telling you about who we are and what we do and why we're doing that. So my name's Steph, as I say, I'm the director of Manchester Cycling Academy. We're a group of coaches and tutors from the Manchester area who've come together to deliver elite coaching in partnership with several organisations. So we're coaches and tutors. So some of us work in coaching, some of us work in coaching and tutoring, which to us, those are two different things. So we're very excited to be working with Abbey College and yourselves and welcoming people from around the world to Manchester to embark on what should be a fantastic experience. So Manchester Cycling Academy, we're a group of coaches and tutors, as I said, and we have partnerships with British Cycling. Are experts in BMX, track, road and mountain bike. So we don't prioritise one over the other. So if we have a rider who wants to be a BMX rider, for example, we have some wonderful facilities and coaches who can help them to succeed, to achieve their goals. So that's, we want to help the people achieve their goals. So we have partnerships with British Cycling, who we deliver on what's called the DICE programme, which is Diploma in Sport and Excellence. That's to make English cyclists better, or British cyclists better. It's funded by Sport England, which is a really prestigious course in the UK, and lots of famous Olympians through Britain have gone on to gone through that course. We deliver partnerships with Manchester City Council as well in the local area, and with a couple of local colleges. So the course itself with Abbey College, we have a development course and an elite course. So if somebody wanting to concentrate on the academic performance, for example, and then just want to use cycling as a pastime or want to make themselves better, we can accommodate that. If we have some more elite students who want to move on to a performance level and perhaps into the performance pathway with their own country, we can certainly accommodate that. We're actually talking to cycling governing bodies from around the world at the moment to bring people in, which will be absolutely fantastic if we can do that. So the facilities themselves, we use the National Cycling Centre in Manchester, just 1.5 miles and 4 tram stops 4 tram stops from the city centre away, so it couldn't really be much closer to the city centre. It's on the Etihad campus. I'm sure most of you will recognise that. The massive football match taking place in Manchester tonight at the Etihad Stadium. So we couldn't be much better to the elite, closer to the elite facilities. That itself has an indoor velodrome known as the Medal Factory because it's produced so many medals and Olympic medals over the years, Commonwealth medals, world medals. It's a fantastic place. We have an indoor BMX track, the only indoor BMX facility in the UK, one of the few in Europe. We have fantastic BMX and mountain bike facilities within 4 or 5 minutes of the National Cycling Centre, which we will use, and of course we'll use on a daily and weekly basis. We have fantastic links to the local community as well, so clubs, teams, where people coming from overseas can join those teams and join those clubs and help their performance improve. So the course itself, what we've designed is an initial consultation for the athletes and riders who come. They will get a strength and conditioning plan, halfly term performance reviews, health and nutrition reviews, everything they will need to make themselves a better athlete and a better rider and a better person. If they're on the elite program, they'll get up to five in-person coaching sessions per week. So that might be on the velodrome, that might be on the BMX circuit, it may be out on the same roads which the Olympic cyclists use on a daily basis. We have a sport vehicle which can use, which can take bikes, food, bags, people, everything that a professional team would need and use on a supported ride. So they won't be on their own; they'll be with our people at all time. They will get some access to things called Training Peaks, which is an online training facility which the riders can dip into at any time. That'll give them guidance on what sessions they need to do if they are doing sessions on their own. Each of our students will get a British Cycling Level 1 coaching award, so they all will go away as being Level 1 coaches at a minimum. We also can offer things like bike maintenance and bike mechanic qualifications as bolt-ons, and then there are other bolt-ons on top of that, one-to-one coaching and personal coaching and various things like that we can talk to you about in due course. So thank you very much. I'm sure you don't need to listen to me going on too much. I'm so excited about this. I'm very excited in welcoming you all to Manchester. So thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry I can't be with you this morning, and I'll see you again soon.
Awesome. I mean, that sounds absolutely fantastic. We're so excited about the cycling course starting here in September, and from what Steph was saying there, I'm sure you can see why we're so excited about it. So the tennis is also on the Etihad campus. It's literally just across the road from the velodrome. It's the UK Tennis Centre, and it's got both indoor and outdoor floodlit pitches, courts. Sorry. So weather is no kind of barrier to training. And again, the tennis course is available on 3 or 5 afternoons a week. Again, we don't recommend students do 5 because it's probably too much alongside academic studies. But the students who do come on the tennis program, they will have the opportunity to join the LTA, which is the Lawn Tennis Association, and they will be able to compete all over the country at LTA events. And again, the coaching for tennis will be in small groups, and it will be by professional tennis coaches. So the IFP then, the IFP is the International Foundation Programme, and 2 years ago, along with International House, we launched a sports strands. Pete, do you want to talk about this, or do you want me to talk more about generic IFP first?
You carry on, Chris.
Okay.
You carry on. That's fine.
The IFP is normally it's a 1-year course. It can be done over 18 months or 2 years, and it's a level 3 qualification, which is the same as A levels. So the students finish on a similar level to those students doing A levels, and it gives direct access to university. Not every university, so Oxford and Cambridge don't accept it, Imperial don't accept it, but other than that, almost all UK universities accept the IFP for international students. And as you saw before, the range of universities that our students went to is huge, as is the kind of range of subjects. Last year, a lot of we had a big cohort who did the sports IFP, but students can basically do kind of any course that we offer. So we offer, business, economics, maths, biology, chemistry, physics, RS, photography, art, sport. We can do music. We could do languages, humanities. There's a huge range of choices of courses, and again, we can make them quite bespoke. A number of the students last year did sports 1 and sports 2, but then similarly, some did sport 1 and business 1, or sport 2 and economics. So we can kind of make the course very bespoke as long as it fits on the timetable. This year, for example, we've got one boy who's doing physics and RS. The program can be tailored to the students. And the way the course runs, unlike A-levels, there aren't terminal exams. It's a modular course. So the students have exams at the end of every term. So term 1, you would do sport 1 and economics 1, for example. And then at Christmas time, you'd have your exams for sport 1, economics 1, and then unit 1 would be done, it would be finished. You would start building up your percentage. And then in the January after Christmas, you would then start sport 2 and economics 2, for example. And so it goes on. And the two strands make up 75% of the course. And the final 25% is then made up of what we call key skills. And those are skills that you will need for university. So there's a maths module, and there's a university skills module, which involves kind of research, note-taking, referencing, essay writing, all the kind of stuff that universities will expect students be able to do when they get to university. Again, it's a bespoke program. It's an externally accredited program by the NCFE, which is the Northern Council for Education, and it's a fantastic course for international students. So, Pete, do you want to talk through the sports modules?
Sure, absolutely, and I think Chris would agree that this program is absolutely amazing for a young player who's passionate about football and sometimes less passionate about academic study. It does suit players who have academic abilities and potential of all levels, yet, as Chris has shown, well respected with the universities nationally and internationally. So yeah, the good thing about these units is that they are taught by IHM coaches. So the coaches teaching the academic material through the view of a professional sports coach. And I think this is where it appeals to that demographic of young player, because they can relate to what's happening in the classroom. It can be related immediately to what's happening on the training ground and as a professional athlete. So you can see there for yourself the units that are covered in Sport 1, and similarly those that are covered in Sport 2. But I think the main message here is that this is a course that is very suited to young footballers or any sports person, absolutely. But Chris, if you could possibly move us along. So yes, I think that if you are looking particularly at the IFP for one of your students, and you want to know where this is leading them, what's the pathway? And I think that when you look at the agreements that are in place already with some well-established and respected universities directly from the program, you can see the pathway is clear. And that gives the mention there of USA, which I was telling you about previously. Amazing that this course is recognized by universities in the US because of the fantastic opportunities that are there for sports scholarship. What a wonderful opportunity for a young person to be getting the best possible coaching for soccer, as it's called in the US, and playing in wonderful facilities, but having a course and course fees subsidized by the talent that you've got. And it is amazing what can be achieved in that pathway. But yes, looking at other degrees, it is possible to study football as a bachelor's degree. That is an amazing thing. And you can see the diversity of career pathways that are already popping up in these undergraduate degree routes. And I think that's, like I said before, a young person who is absolutely dedicated to a professional career in football often has time to reassess that whilst they're with us and be directed to a more practical, pragmatic, yet still satisfying career. But yes, great to hear what our students are saying. Kieran had been with us for a couple of years and at times not always sure what and where he wanted to take his football and his academic study, but wonderful to see how he settled in at Hartbury, which is well known in the UK for sporting thread degrees. But yes, I think when you look at Niran and how he has transferred himself into sports journalism, this is something that's popped up before. We've had players who've been with us before, and we've had difficult conversations about how their ability at football, quite honestly, is not going to translate into a professional career. But I think this is the value of the dialogue that's happening every day with our coaches and the young student players. We're having discussions about the diversity of careers that are available to them so they can indulge their passion still in football and sport, but in an area that's going to allow them to excel and not be disappointed. And I think that's a massive bonus looking back in how things used to be. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Pete. And I would agree with that. I think, you know, quite often we meet students who I used to interview all of the sports students, and, you know, interviewing a football student. So what do you want to do? I want to play for City or United or Liverpool. Okay, well, that's fine. But I think, you know, I think International House have done a lot of work over the last few years about kind of managing those expectations. And, you know, yeah, fine. A lot of the students have had trials with local league and non-league clubs. And then I think those expectations have been really well managed in conjunction, kind of us working with International House, kind of guiding them towards, as Pete says, staying within the football industry, staying within the sports industry, and seeing that there are many different pathways out there.
Absolutely. And I think that's the value of partnering with you, Chris. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So boarding then, as I say, Clydesdale House, it's about a 10-minute walk from the college building, and it's in an area of Manchester called the Northern Quarter. It's a really cool area. It's where all the cool shops and restaurants and things are. And it's an ultra safe building. So there's 3 different types of rooms: there's a standard, there's a deluxe, there's a premium. All of them are single bedrooms, so nobody has to share a bedroom. They've got nice big double beds with under bed storage. Everybody has their own ensuite bathroom, so you're not sharing a bathroom. And there's a study area, there's a desk, there's a wardrobe, and they are very nice bedrooms. We have a team of live-in house parents who look after the students. We have a cook who cooks all the evening meals, and she also prepares packed lunches for the students. So the way it's designed is the students live in what's called clusters rather than flats. So there's either 9 or 11 kind of flats in a cluster around a central kitchen and common room. So although we do all the cooking, the students are more than welcome to cook for themselves. They've got a very well equipped, very big kitchen, and then each cluster also has its own really nice common room with sofa and TV and table and things. 24-hour security downstairs. It's a very safe, secure location. You need a fob to get into the main door, and then one to get through the next set of doors onto the stairs, and then another fob to get into your cluster, and then a key to get into your own bedroom. So, you know, we're trying to minimize the risk as much as we possibly can. So there's cycle storage for those people who either A, have a bike, or B, are on the cycling course, or both, and laundry, and that's included in the cost. of being in Clydesdale House. And as I say, students have to be over 16 on the 1st of September to live in Clydesdale House. Otherwise, they will have to live with one of our host families. I think we've currently got 29 students in host families. We've got about 13 or 14 different host families, kind of all around Greater Manchester. And the students live with them. They settle in really well. We've got 2 boys who are currently they're in their final year of IFP. They've been with their host family for 4 years, so they could have moved into Clydesdale House last year, but they were so happy, so settled in their host family that they chose to stay. So I do understand that some people don't necessarily like the idea of living with a stranger, living with a host family that you don't know. But the host families have been working with us for many years. They are really used to welcoming international students. And they're all really lovely families, like I say, all around kind of Greater Manchester, and they'll help the students settle in. They'll show them how to get into college, if it's by tram or train or bus. They'll show the students where the nearest stop is and how best to do it, and the students really do become part of the family. So students, they get their own bedroom, not necessarily their own bathroom, but they don't share. And the good thing about living with a host family is they eat meals together and kind of spend time together at the weekends. So it's really good for their English development, as well as kind of being a home from home when they're potentially thousands of miles away from their own family. So Manchester, as I said before, it's a really young city. It's a really vibrant city. It's got 2 of the best football teams in the world right now. It was ranked as the 3rd best city in the world, as it says there in Time Out Index, September 2021. A survey came out earlier on in 2023, and it was the only city in the top 10 in the UK. It's a very diverse, very international city. It's really friendly, and again, lots of students say they want to go to London, but when they get to London, they find it's cold, it's big, it's scary. Manchester isn't. Manchester is very small and very friendly. There's some lovely pictures there. So it's a cool city. Obviously, it kind of grew during the Industrial Revolution, and there's a really interesting mix in town of industrial buildings, as you can see, kind of top. Right there, that's a big hotel, and much more modern buildings. There's a lot of building work going on, and there's this fantastic kind of juxtaposition of the old and the new here in town. So thank you all for listening to me, Pete and Steph, and I hope you've learned a lot about Abbey College Manchester and about the different sports courses that we offer. And if you have any questions, then please let us know.
Okay, thank you, Chris and Pete. Thank you very much for that presentation. We have had a few questions that have been asked sort of beforehand, so I'll just ask those now. I think one of the questions that has come through a couple of times is about the standard of play that the students need to demonstrate to be accepted on the courses. Is there like a minimum requirement of a level of sport that they're playing at to be able to apply for one of the sporting academies?
Chris, shall I kick off with the Football Academy?
Yeah.
What we do say about the Football Academy, yes, everybody is welcome. However, what we do look for is a young player who is already playing for their school team or playing for a team, any level of team in a local club. They would find whatever their skill level is that they would fit in very well, because like I said previously, in the Football Academy, we divide the players into 2 tiers, an elite level and a development level. So that means we can accommodate all levels of ability within the squad. What we do ask for as well is a written reference from a football coach or sports teacher who is working with that young person now or very recently has been working with them. And the idea of that is to get a professional view on the mental attitude and behavior of that person. We have a responsibility to all of our student players, to make sure that we manage that. And so that's something. And then finally, something that's not obligatory but is very welcome is if we could have a short video clip of the young person playing in a match, and we're looking for a competitive match, 11 aside. That would be a perfect way of us being able to give some feedback. So even if you're unsure of whether you feel that you would be comfortable in the squad, that's a way of getting that check before you even go any further down the line.
Thanks, Pete. Yeah, and I think it's similar with the other sports. You know, they welcome all levels, and you know, one of the points of joining these academies is to progress, is to get better. Obviously, you know, they are going to be training kind of with others and being trained by professionals, so there does have to be some kind of level of sporting ability or interest or whatever. So they can't be absolute beginners, but by the same token, we're certainly not expecting them to be professionals either, because the whole point of the course is to improve. As we said before, you know, their goal will be to make it as professionals, or, you know, for others it's just a way of keeping fit, and I think that's very true for all four of the sports. So yeah, so there's no kind of required level, but there does have to be some prior experience of playing those sports.
That's great. Thank you very much indeed. And the other question that we get asked a lot, and again, Pete, I know you did kind of touch on this in your presentation as well, but again, it's about visa restrictions. And obviously a lot of players come to the UK, you know, they want the coaching, they want to be recognised professionally and sort of maybe play at a professional level, but how can they play on a student visa? What are the rules? What are they actually allowed to do?
Sure. Okay. So a student visa, whilst it allows a young person to work on a limited number of hours a week, paid employment, that doesn't actually include professional football. So that has to be made clear. What happens is, if there's a player who's demonstrating the exceptional skill that would be required to be identified by a club, if there's somebody who's showing that skill, we can put them in front of clubs and scouts who could verify whether that's the case or not. But when it comes to a pathway to professional football, the student route isn't a pathway to professional football. It would be a separate route that would have to be dealt with after the course had finished. But that fits in with the ethos of everything we're doing here. Complete your education and explore your potential at the same time. What can happen, and this can be disappointing for a young player, is a club will spot a player, will take an interest in a player, and then discover that the visa pathway isn't going to work. So that's why we've got to manage that expectation from the beginning. That doesn't mean that any of our players will never achieve their potential. It just means that probably, as I said before, it's less likely to happen in the UK. And that's why we provide the routes through to Spanish, Belgian, German, Portuguese clubs that are more welcoming. And we do have the link with the international scouts. So I think anybody who wants to know what their full potential is and to reach that, this is definitely the course for them. However, if you're expecting that you could then progress into a local UK club, even an amateur club, that would be prohibited and not possible. So that needs to be made clear. But big clubs have got big resources, and if they do see an exceptional talent, they will find a way to make that happen and have a relationship with a player. But it's much, much less likely if you're not a UK national. I hope that addresses the question.
Yeah, no, it does. I think, as you said, Peter, I think it's being aware of these of the limitations from day one, so that we are working with the players and managing those expectations, because we don't want people to come to the UK under false pretenses, thinking that there is an unlimited market there for them, when obviously there are these restrictions that they need to be aware of. So thank you very much. Chris, Absolutely. Is there anything you wish to add?
I think the same is true for basketball. I think the same limitations are there for basketball. Obviously slightly different for tennis and cycling, because they're not kind of team sports in the same way. So I think, those would be questions to ask the coaches. But certainly basketball is very similar to football. But tennis and cycling, who knows?
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. So far, I haven't had any other questions that have been put forward. So I don't know, one last call from our participants to see if there is any other questions from our people. If not, then I'll just sort of say thank you very, very much, both to our attendees today for listening to the presentations. I hope you've found them helpful. Obviously, if any of you do have any questions after the event, please do feel free to either, contact your sales representative, contact the college directly. We'd be more than happy to answer any specific questions that you have. I'm conscious that Pete's here today, but again, with regards to basketball, cycling, tennis, if you want to be put in touch with the coaches there, again, that is something that we can organise for you. So I think on that, I'm going to say thank you very much to everybody, and goodbye.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tori. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.